All right, here we go. It's game three. The winner is going to move on into the knockouts. The loser will have to play for their lives in the 2-2 bracket. So this is a big chance for these guys to solidify themselves as one of the top teams in the tournament. 1-1 so far. We see Rumble, Nico, and Zeri actually biting the dust in the first round of bans. Maokai, Zaya, and Renata. We see Zaya again permanently a fixture in the red side bans. You need to make sure that you stop the blue one Zaya pick into the Rakan flex and going from there. We end up with Kaisa, answered by Azir Alistar. Definitely an advantage so far for KT Rolster. Then you have the Rakan Renekton. Now, Rakan, not nearly as good of a pairing, right, when it's not with Zaya. It's still a fine champion. Getting Renekton as well, you know, solid blind pick means that you're okay with all of the potential counters that are going up. And then in the second phase, this is something bizarre. We see Poppy and Jax going down. Jax is something that you're normally totally okay with them picking Jax into your Renekton. You should be okay with this. Poppy is a hard counter that you want to get rid of that is so good against Renekton and Rakan. Actually, probably was a pretty big miss for KT to not pick that up for themselves here at Red 3. But either way, with the disengaged champion with Aphelios, they end up going and getting rid of Silas and Jarvan to take away some of that power away from themselves. Team fights picked up by LNG in Wukong and Orianna. And then we have Ornn. Massive pick for themselves. I think Ornn is super strong. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of him, especially he's very good into Renekton. Renekton's gonna have a fine time, especially for the first 10 levels of the game. We'll even jump out to a CS lead, but it's not going to be anything meaningful, and Ornn can completely wipe these fights. Can also have a little bit of synergy with the Azir. We've got a lot of bop-ups happening here, and Aphelios has the superior carry potential. It's going to be on LNG to try to dive in and get these multiple knockups, ball onto Renekton, and I think it's going to be difficult going into this team, but let's see what happens in the game. Hey, we finally see a dragon that's not infernal when they do that cinematic. So far, 4 out of 4 times when they did that, it was an infernal first. So we see a cloud coming onto the rift. Teams are fanning out. Kaisa taking a fairly aggressive position. Aphelios scouting this side, making sure to feel comfortable. You give yourself multiple escape routes this way. Lehen's actually getting a little bit trapped here, so definitely a big early trade here. Missed auto from Gala. We'll see whether or not they'll still be able to get that proc off. The fact they missed that auto means that we don't get the proc. That is an extra basically 25% of Alistar's health that could have been knocked off. Ends up using multiple resources. That's going to be a huge shot for their tempo. Still has Hex Flash available. That's something you should always be willing to do as Alistar. Just burn your flash early. Anytime you have Hex Flash, just you burn it early. You don't really mind. Now we have a cold start from the Aphelios, cold start from Kaisa. So very much we're playing for tempo gaming, a lot of farming in this bot lane. Neither lane thinks that they're going to get much done. Cheers. Wukong actually coming, getting a leash from Renekton. That's something that you don't always see here. Both top laners actually leashing their junglers, so they're expecting to get big tempo plays in the bot side. Wukong has been picked against Vi multiple times and has gone into her face and just said, let's fight. I've got a much better passive for fighting in the early game. Stacking that HP, regen, and armor is very effective into that spot. We'll see whether or not they're able to create that for themselves. Early level 1 tempo going to LNG. Gala threatening to just cast a Q and wipe this minion wave, get to level 2 themselves. We end up seeing Lehen's and aiming backing off on Aphelios Alistar as they are wont to do. Now, this is going to have some repercussions to the state of the lane as the junglers come and arrive, right? If we're able to hold this line of scrimmage and Vi's coming down here, we may see a couple adaptations on the path. We may even see a 4 or 5 camp where she might just skip something, come on over and see if she can create a better tempo. So see this right here, already pathing through closer to mid, going to try to take a spot that won't be seen by a ward here. Actually, we have a pause. All right, we are going to resume here. We actually lose 10 seconds of gameplay, but it looks like Vi doesn't actually go for that fast path into the bottom as we thought that they might. Instead, going for blue and then Gromp into wolves. Usually if you do Gromp into wolves like this, it means that you can actually circle back around and fight for this scuttle. Like we said, she's trying to avoid the Wukong. Wukong got the leash, right? So she's got no advantage to claim by staying on this side of the map, so they end up going back for it. Now, this is a fantastic adaptation for Cuz because you see what it's doing as you rotate, you see that Rakan and Kaisa actually gave up all of their tempo here to help with the prio in the river, meaning that Wukong's over here. He's trying to map the Vi and trying to say, hey, here's where I think she is. I need you guys to come out to help me to make sure that we're strong here. Ends up getting, basically they have to lose the prio in their lane to do that. They used up their tempo. Wukong does get it, but Vi is very comfortably up on the top side, grabbing Scuttle for herself, and now she'll have the inside track for a gank in top and potentially pick up this Gromp as well. We'll see if Wukong's willing to stick around any longer. Sometimes they go and they place these extra wards to get an idea from the enemy jungler whether or not they're here. Second time that we see Cuz do this, where he drops this ward, right? So most times people go and they place this one, they end up going right here. We'll see whether or not the coaches caught that the first time around and whether or not that means that we're going to see any adaptations here. Now Vi is going to Gromp. That'll be first camp respawn for her. Wukong is right here. So the junglers are completely even. Wave is starting to stack here for the Alistar and Aphelios. This is a point where they can be weak if you can get a good trade-off into them. Hold on. Orange is taking over this matchup by himself. Renekton's have been so used to Jaxes they forget what it's like to get bopped here by the tanks. Ornn having such a good lane phase, plus the ability, you're right, to give yourself the items, making sure that you're strong at every single stage is just so good. Gets that wave crashed in, so even with Wukong being on the strong side of the map for them, is very comfortable. Goes and picks up a early Bramble Vest. Usually that's indicative that they want to go for other elements. They want to go to the other side of the tree. You got something that's so geared towards the matchup right here. It's just very strong against Wukong and Renekton. Probably we'll see plated steel caps picked up as well, but sometimes we see lucid boots, sometimes we see merc treads. Now Vi being the first one over to the bot side means she's pathing over here. They actually have a very aggressive angle here. Lehens has managed to take out the wards here. Means that they have a flank available. So first major fight, we have a root here from Aphelios. They're going to activate it. Looks like Lehens is just going to pop him over. And we get bops in response. Hung is going to bite the dust. The E pass through. Looked like Ignite was going to do it anyways. But the bop using Kaisa to propel that fist damage all the way over to Hong. I love how they played that. I love how Hong played it, right? Flash E flash really. E flash into W, trying to get as much distance for himself, but because Alistar headbutted him this way, it means he was able to cut him off here, and then we had Vi able to close the door. So we see what all of that work, all those junglers trying to create some sort of advantage, and we end up getting it by Vi skipping the Raptor. Use the control ward here from the mid laner. Those two things in tandem means that Vi is able to get that angle for themselves, and they make this play. I'm actually surprised they didn't just go into Kaisa here. Usually killing the support is just as good as killing the carry, for the sense that the carry is going to be locked out of the lane for the rest until we have a respawn. And those guys are nervous. Woo! All right, Rakan opts to go straight back to bottom, doesn't use a recall timer for themselves. That means that they're going to be spending some time alone. Expect Rakan to move up into the river, try to secure some vision. I like what Scout's doing. Nice preemptive ultimate, try to get a chunk of HP out. With Azir not having teleport, that damage is going to be fairly permanent. We see the refillable potions being used, item matches being here. We do have the tier from Orianna. We're finally going to see Seraph's Embrace. This is something that people have been missing on. The AP values are just so good on Orianna, specifically the fact that she has that big shield. So we like to see Mythic into Seraphs, into Rabadons. That should be the sequence. And from there, you're just big enough. You're going to make those gargantuan shields. Still deal plenty of damage with the shockwave, and it really empowers your divers, right? When these guys are going forward, the fact that they have that much of an extra shield going on to them is going to be a big deal. Aphelios opting for a first item BF sword. This is something we don't normally see. We often see Noon Quivers. So we'll see what they opt to go for. They're basically playing entirely for the spike. I think that means that they want an early Gale Force. They're basically saying this is our one way of going for it. We could go for Infinity Edge, but early BF Sword to go Infinity Edge when you don't have any other sources of crit scaling can be a little bit problematic. But I expect that this team that wants to play modal, right, they have plenty of disengage elements and they have engage elements. So they could easily like Gale Force for the fact that it is like that. It is a disengage and engage option where you can use it as continuation. You can use it as spacing. You can use multiple different effects from it. Now this Ornn Renekton matchup, I love watching just Ornn just clap on the Renekton here. It will swing once we have Gore Drinker in line, but this Bramblevest is going to do a ton of work for the Ornn, and he's going to be happy. It's just like, yeah, you're not going to kill me, right? You might be able to go up and heal through the wave and go through here, but you're never going to kill me. Azir with his 4 points in the W is going to get that fast shove, getting all that attack speed in. That's something that's new to this year, the W max on Azir's, largely just due to patches. Now, most recent patch actually gave some points back into the queue, where it is a little bit better to get that early. Still probably worth to go for the W max. But it's just one of those champions just always going to be strong. Check out this ward that's nice and deep. Seeing Vi on the Krugs, and I don't think she has any clue about it either. I didn't even see when they snuck that in there. Well played by them. Something that you want to do if you're playing against LNG in the future. You want to know that they have this capacity, right? That they might put a ward like this out there. Definitely something that you want to share with your players when you get that scouting report. An advanced scout, all right, for you guys who aren't used to traditional sports, or even if you are and just don't know what an advanced scout is. Your advanced scout is the person who's looking at your next opponent, right? So it's someone that's not watching this game. They're trying to get a head start on the next game, and they basically want to take as many notes as possible on what they can get as a scouting report for your next opponent, all right? So in this case, right now, going into this, the winner of this is moving into the knockouts. They don't know who they're going to play, right? But the loser might have to play into the brackets against other people. This new format with all sorts of redraws, it kind of takes away some of the advantages of having that scouting position, but you do want to have an idea. This is on tape now for whoever does end up scouting these teams. Hey, look, this is what they're capable of doing. They might put they have this formation in 80% of their level ones. They have this formation in the other 20%. And those patterns can be exploited, right? You want to find the pattern, then you want to assess what it should look like or what a balanced approach would look like. And then you say, all right, what's the approach that beats this and doesn't give up something new, right? And so your advanced scout is going to find things like this. They're going to see, when do they put timers down? When do their awards expire, right? What windows are they going for? Are they always putting a ward here? Is the ward going here instead? Those things add up, and that becomes a meaningful advantage that you can gather for your team if you're able to pick up more of that information, and especially more meaningful pieces of that information compared to the opponents. All right, as we expected, Bramblevest means that he's waiting on the rest of the boots, saying, I don't need the tier 2 boots. I really just want to have the stats to go toe-to-toe with you. Going for a Jack Show the Protean, it seems like, and that makes sense because you're going to be the frontline pivot, shielding everybody for the Azir in this front-to-back disengage sort of situation. You're going to want to be super, super stacked up on your stats, and you don't really have the effectiveness on Iceborne Gauntlet the way that Cassante does. So you're going to be very happy going there. There is a chance that we see some other combination of items. Here we go. Big root into big damage. Gale Force is potentially enough. We see the flash forward from Vi. We're going to have the continuation. Lehens gets on. This is huge. KT jumping ahead. Look at that big chunk. Aphelios using the purple gun as a setup and support. Paired up with Vi. They're getting the chunks going forward, and we get the full engage. Beautiful to see. Now, they are going to be short on some resources. Ult down, Gale Force down, Flash, and ult down from Vi. So we'll see whether or not LNG tries to punish, and specifically looking at this timer right here, cooldowns will still be off. Gala will be able to come back into position, and they should be stronger for this. Even though they did give up plates and a kill, they still should be okay just by the sheer amount of cooldowns available to them. All the ultimates here, actually, we actually lost Rakan, so that is a big one. Vi's not the longest in the world either, right? The quality of life, they brought down, what was it, 20 seconds off of the ultimate cooldown to make it a little bit easier. They did after last year's Worlds. They jacked it all the way up, virtually making her unplayable. She was so difficult to put together. Nice little synergy here, but the Q's not far enough. It's enough to get the Eye of the Herald. Like, are trying to get the maximum. And this, like we said, this is the part of the matchup where Renekton starts leaning on the Ornn a little bit more. as we go and continue into the game, Renekton can keep on taking these trades, use the wave to heal up. We might even see a Ravenous Hydra at some point. They tend not to do that. They tend to want to go into Black Cleaver and Steric's Cage. It's more the champions like the Fjords and Camille's of the world. Hold on, we have a big bop. Here we go. Synergy, ult into knockback, and the Ornn kill is able to kill with the pass-through, which means he gets the stun onto Zika. BDD trying to reposition, but Zika's just going too fast. Look at this play by Keen. Tarzan trying to get onto the other side, uses the Q. Oh my god, these low HP bars. Oh man, perfect spacing, not missing a beat. When you get into the highly evasive maneuvers, these guys are all playing spacebar, by the way. All right, spacebar, because you're centered on your character. You want to make your jittery moves as quick as possible. You also don't want to miss any time by moving your camera the traditional way. You just want to say, all right, I'm here. Then you can keep your mouse clicks like literally here and here. You can move with that precision. Anyways, they end up getting one for themselves, escaping for themselves as well. Now we're talking about a kill lead that might be enough to actually have impact for this fight. We said that they wouldn't have that, right? But now with enough kills and the fact that they're able to use the two other ultimates to get a different side kill. Look at this two-sided fight. I didn't even see this guy going on. Green-white gun from Aphelios means he's just ripping them apart. He's feeling pretty good, using the extra range, and that's why LNG calls it quits on the rest of that play. Hold on, Wukong goes in, gets the dragon for himself, but now what's the rest of this fight going to look up? Rakan ultimate is back up. This is a little bit of an overcommit here from KT. They're missing some of their most important teamfight ultimates, and they get washed 2 deaths. They don't even get the dragon. That means LNG just springboards to the lead right here. This has to be considered a mistake. Right, we'll go back. We'll see the replay. Last one we saw the replay, we didn't get to see what the actual rotations were, but it should have been all 5 people. If you wanted dragon, it could have been 1 person pushing here, 4 people on dragon, turn that into 4 people pushing bot, or 2 people go for the push, 2 people recall, and you reset your lanes. No real threat up in the top lane. But instead, it looks like we ended up with some amount of syncopation. And as we saw before, 1 Sivir recalling ruined Jarvan's game. And this is what happens here, right? Boom. Alistar, Kais, and Aphelios recalling means that this is a 3v3. When you recall, you necessarily int the rest of your players, right? Like, perhaps they thought that with Orianna going up here that they could go and afford that recall. Apparently, we had the inside track and LNG realizes it, and they're able to take advantage of that. Plus, it's the people that have the ultimates available. Right, Aphelios was back up. His Gale Force was back up. Alistar was ready with everything. Right, it's the champions that were there were the ones that didn't have their ultimates anymore. So pretty easy answer by LNG. They springboard themselves to the lead. They're going to move over. Now we're creating this like seesaw effect where each team is taking turns not having cooldowns. But LNG actually survives long enough to get the Rakan ultimate back up. So they're feeling very strong for the Eye of the Herald. KT's best answer is going to be to try to get control of this quadrant right here, get as many pieces of vision in place. You want to have the deep ward, right? Something for teleporting. We end up with something very shallow here. Actually, looks like he was not confident to move forward with 2 very shallow wards and then placing 1 up here by the Raptors. Would have preferred to move this line up and get something like here and like here. Or even get something all the way down here. With that much space, knowing where the enemies are, knowing that they're on Herald, you had plenty of opportunity to go in. Alistar opting for the faster option. He's back on the map. He's got his wards again. He's in place to protect the Aphelios. Let's see. We're going to have a fairly traditional 1-3-1 setup. Solo laners going up, collecting the waves for themselves. Azir, very safe. One of the safest mages to split push with. Has tremendous combat stats, but also has that turret they can hide behind. And the ability to shuffle to carry long distances. And Ornn's rocking his Jack show, so he's very happy as well. Looks like he's aiming to finish this. I don't know about a finished Thornmail here. Healing reduction, not that prevalent versus this comp. I mean, we've got a couple pieces. We probably have it somewhere in the runes for Kai'Sa. A little bit from Rakan, but it's one of the worst stats in the game. All right, proactive play by LNG, playing for the reach out on Ornn. This is actually normally a very safe part of the map, right? We just have a very short lane here. Ornn normally feeling very comfortable. LNG realizing that they can get a jump on this. Now the answer from KT will be mid lane prio, right? And because ultimates were used, two ultimates, Wukong and Orianna, they're going to feel very strong with this line of scrimmage. Let's see how they position for this fight. Teleport's actually coming in. This will favor them even without Ornn. They can go to the front. They need to be able to deal with this extra damage. Azir apparently is trying desperately to get a recall off, and they're doing that, which means Lehends is going to bite the dust. Now aiming might as well, being chased by the crocodile. Vi's going to be here for the peel. Azir's going to be in position as well. Azir ended up finally stopping the recall, but they're not realizing that they would have been strong enough this whole time. Also, the Herald going down. So huge tempo plays by LNG. They're moving forward, and they're actually going to go on to Ornn again, back-to-back deaths. And the Herald is about to charge over in the bot lane. This is looking tremendously poor for KT now. Getting caught in rotations, thinking that, you know, your back is the one that matters, right? You're the one that needs to do it. I see that Azir is looking to get that big item spike. Right here, Vi pulling back. Oh my goodness. Just getting to the edge of that shockwave means he wasn't able to get out of range. The flash out of range would have had to happen upwards. But right here, for example, look, Azir's trying to move back. It's like they're trying to call everyone out. Maybe it's because Zika has such a good position here, but they could have stalled out this fight long enough for Ornn to teleport to that ward. It's a pretty big foul to get nothing out of that, especially when you know exactly what their rotations are. With two ultimates down and they're coming this way, your team needs to reposition with this as a line of scrimmage, right? Either one of these work, where you can say, all right, we're feeling, you can go be strong here, you can use multiple people and get a kill, but then we can go and create strength right here. This entire area should be ours. Instead, LNG is able to get in there with Zika's flank teleport. And now they just have a tremendous gold lead. 4K to their advantage. Cooldowns are available. They have everything for this fight besides the Renekton flash. Ornn missing his flash as well, so parity right there. Aphelios doesn't even have cleanse. So LNG should feel really good right here. They're actually going to say, go ahead, you can have Dragon. We're going to go get Baron. We're going to force you to go over into us. Now, they could try to go for an engage here into Zika, but the team is just not in place. They're saying, we're going to walk through you if you try to go. Now, Zika's going to let them walk past, and then he's going to shut the door behind the Aphelios, right? Ornn has super long range to start this fight off. Vi could get into the pit. Let's see how much, whether or not they're going for the debuffs. You can't half-ass this. You can't walk this far and then say, no, we're going to pull back, but this wasn't actually a good idea. That had to be part of the calculation. Here we go. We got upfront damage. Alistar biting the dust. 3 kills in hand for LNG means they have a tremendous lead. Kai'Sa jumping over the back, showing the mobility, and Gala, one of the best Kai'Sa players in the world, taking that down for themselves. Now they have Baron and 7k advantage. They have a lot of momentum going for this. 3 people dead, 20-second timers means they'll be able to take this at least. They'll probably opt to just go for a recall, not go for any more here, because they don't want to have rubber banding, right? You don't want to reach so far and then like barely maybe be able to get this turret and then have to recall in the face of danger, potentially leave some doors open. You also haven't shopped, right, this whole time coming over. So getting their shops off is a big deal. You see that they're so worried about Wukong jumping into the middle of the fight, but look at this battle formation. Tarzan right here, Zika right here, making that trapezoid, right? You see that fight shape right there. Boom, the carry. You go off right here, you get that flanking, making it very easy, and then Kai'Sa can pick her spot to jump over for the fight. Nicely done by LNG, saying, you know, nice dragon, we'll go get Baron, and then the response from KT is just wrong, right? In your head, you need to know exactly the amount of time that you have, whether or not you're actually using the Ornn ultimate to actually get into the pit, or whether or not you're using it to go for the fight. It looks like Ornn was using his ultimate to try to protect against the pit, and then you have the team Wukong just jumps over the wall and engages into the team, and now you're missing that element. Vi was thinking about jumping in, but you had the timers off. So just everything a little bit off right there. I wonder if it was just some amount of missing this information here. Actually catch that while it was live. All right, so Baron in hand. They've got 8k to the gold advantage. They're going to go for mid lane push into northern side control so that they can secure this with the rest of the push. They're going to join the waves. This cannon is enough to take down this turret. Very, very difficult to defend against this. There's really no great defense for these inner turrets because the flank potential is just too strong. But they say, you know what, we dare you to dive us. We've got Aphelios. We can play for disengage. And if we're disengaging, then we're happy, right? Disengaging under the turret, it should favor the disengaged team, regardless of the gold lead. That is probably the best case scenario for them. Very shallow ward here. Normally you want that right up against the meatball because it'll still see those corners. This isn't attack range. We're some of the champions. Zigga getting a big stun off. They actually get Vi with no fight back. Azir trying to scoop up to deal some amount of damage, but the recon swiftness is still going on. Picks up 2 kills. This is probably going to be it. Alistar is going to be choosing, hey, this is my moment. I have a chance now. No post solo laners actually recalling, teleporting back in. They're playing for the end. They're not waiting for any other waves. They're going for it right now, using the teleport to hold on right here. You use one to come in early, another one to preserve the wave for as long as possible. We see the engage onto aiming. He's going to have no tools left. Keen's going to bite the dust next. LNG takes it, and they are through to the knockouts. KT going to have to play a super high pressure series in the 2-2 bracket. We'll see how they do it. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the likes, the subscribes. We've been blowing up the past couple of weeks, so it's all because of you. Thanks so much. Keep on supporting the channel. You guys can also check out gigagamingacademy.com/coaching. You can go to that section. We've got a special deal going on for all of World Championships. But your support is what keeps the channel going. It's what lets us give this content to you. So thanks so much. I enjoy doing this stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoy it too. Catch you next time. As always, keep it surreal. Peace.